had to think about logistics, and it was never going to be her. The place looked good, I'll give her that. Exposed brick, the rack spaced out so people could actually move, little gold string lights strung along the ceiling beams that caught the bottles on the bar just right. I stood near the back with a glass of something I wasn't really drinking and watched people I didn't know walk through a door I'd helped pay the deposit on. Nobody there knew that. That was the part sitting in my chest like a stone. Danielle and I met 9 years ago at a friend's cookout in East Point. She was sketching on a paper plate, if you can believe that, turned it over and started drawing a jacket because she said the napkins were too flimsy to hold an idea. I remember thinking, okay, this one's different. She had nothing back then. A part-time retail job, a sewing machine she'd bought secondhand, and more confidence than the bank account to back it up. I like that about her. I still do, somewhere underneath everything else. I was a business administrator for a logistics company downtown. Steady job, decent pay, the kind of position people call stable like it's a compliment and an insult at the same time. I understood budgets. I understood how a small idea turns into a real thing if somebody keeps the book straight and doesn't let the dream outrun the math. So when Danielle said she wanted to start her own line, I didn't just cheer from the sidelines. I built her first spreadsheet. I sat with her at the kitchen table until midnight more times than I can count, going over supplier costs while she cut fabric on the floor because we didn't have a table big enough. She used to say, "When this is real, Marcus, you're the first one I thank." I believed her. Not because I'm naive. I run numbers for a living. I don't take things on faith easily. But because back then there wasn't any reason for her to lie. There was nothing to protect yet. The shift didn't happen all at once. It crept in, the way a budget goes over before you notice, a little here, a little there, until one day you're looking at a number you don't recognize. First it was just new names showing up in conversation. A stylist, a brand consultant she met at a pop-up. Then it was the meetings I wasn't invited to anymore, the ones that used to happen at our table. How'd the supplier call go? I asked one night, normal as anything, while I was rinsing dishes. It went fine. She didn't look up from her phone. Fine like good, or fine like we need to talk about it. It's handled, Marcus. A beat. You don't have to be in every meeting. I let that sit there for a second longer than I should have. I used to be in every meeting because you asked me to be. I didn't say it. I dried my hands and went to bed. That became the pattern. I'd push a little, she'd close the door a little, and I'd tell myself it was stress, growth, the cost of doing business. I'm good at giving people the benefit of the doubt. It's also one of my worst habits. I'll explain away a problem 3 times before I'll admit I'm watching one. About 4 months before the opening, she came home late from a vendor dinner smelling like a restaurant I'd never been taken to, and when I asked how it went, she said, "You wouldn't get it. It's a different world up there." "Try me," I said. "I did help build the ladder you're climbing." She laughed, but not the good kind. "Here we go." "Here we go what?" "You keeping score." That one stung because it wasn't entirely wrong, and I hated that it wasn't entirely wrong. I was keeping score, in the quiet way people do when they feel themselves disappearing from a story they used to be the co-author of. I just never said the numbers out loud. I'm not a yeller. Never have been. My mother used to say I came out of the womb already thinking it over, and that's about right. When something hurts, I go quiet and I go calculating, not loud. That night I went and sat on the back porch with the cold air on my arms, listening to a dog bark 2 yards over, and I told myself, watch. Don't fight yet. Watch. The night before the opening, I came downstairs for water around 11 and heard her in the kitchen, laughing, really laughing. The laugh I hadn't heard pointed at me in longer than I wanted to admit. She said a name. Brandon. I stood in the hallway for a second too long, and when I stepped into the light, she ended the call so fast her thumb fumbled the screen. Who was that? Brandon. He's an investor. Marcus. Calm down. I am calm. I was. That's true. I just asked a question. You've got that look. What look? The accountant look. Like you're already finding the discrepancy. She wasn't wrong about that either. I went back upstairs, and I won't pretend I went straight to sleep with a clear conscience. Around 1 in the morning, I looked at her laptop, which was open and unlocked on the dresser, and I want to be honest, I'm not proud of that part, but I did it anyway. Messages. Almost a year of them. Brandon wasn't just funding anything. He was in every decision, the kind of access I used to have. And then I found the line that did it. She'd called me, to him, a reminder of her old life. I sat on the edge of the bed a long time. The room was dark except the laptop glow. I remember the sound of the ceiling fan, that little click it does every rotation, and thinking, of all things, I should get that fixed. The mind does strange small errands when it doesn't want to do the big one. I had every reason to wake her up right there and have it out. I didn't. Partly pride, partly strategy, partly, if I'm honest, I just didn't trust myself not to say something I couldn't take back 12 hours before her biggest night. So I closed the laptop, lined it back up exactly how it was, and went to sleep on top of the covers like a man guarding a crime scene. The opening was downtown, a few blocks from where we used to get $2 tacos when we were broke and happy. I wore the navy suit she picked out for me 2 years ago, back when picking out my clothes was still something she liked doing. Small detail, but it mattered to me walking in, like wearing a costume from a play that had already ended. She introduced me to people in this breezy, rehearsed way. This is my husband, Marcus. Same words every time, same smile, like a recording. When an older woman asked, "So how'd you two get into all this together?" Danielle was already steering her toward the shoe display before I could answer. I noticed that. I noticed things. It's basically my job. I noticed she practiced her thank you list and I wasn't on the index cards. I noticed Brandon across the room in a blazer that cost more than my first car, laughing with 2 investors like he'd built the place with his hands. I noticed myself doing math I didn't ask my brain to do. How many Saturdays, how many missed lunches, how much of my savings is a deposit on that bar right there? And I made myself stop, because that wasn't why I'd come. Then she took the MIC. I want to thank my parents, my team, my incredible investors. Applause. This dream happened because I stopped depending on people who couldn't see my future. The room clapped. I didn't move. I just stood there with my glass, doing the thing I do, going still on the outside while something rearranges itself on the inside. Stop depending on people who couldn't see my future. I helped write the lease on that future. I wanted to laugh, honestly, at how clean a line that was, how it left no fingerprints. Instead, I just thought, very calmly, okay. Noted. That's when the door opened and a woman walked in carrying a manila folder like it was a subpoena. I'd never seen her before, but half the room had, judging by how fast the chatter dropped off. I think everyone deserves to hear the truth before they finish celebrating, she said. Not loud, just Clay. Danielle's smile did this thing. Froze about 2 degrees off from a real smile. The kind of frozen you only catch if you've watched someone's face for 9 years. Angela, what are you doing here? Came to support a friend, Angela said, dry as anything. And to correct a few things. Turned out Angela had partnered with Danielle 3 years back. Before any of this, before me even hearing the name once. There'd been an agreement, credit, a profit split, if the line ever took off. Danielle had cut her out clean once it did, and never mentioned her again, not once, not even the nights at our kitchen table when she was supposedly telling me everything. You're misunderstanding the agreement, Danielle said, voice tight. Am I? Angela opened the folder. Then let's all read it together. I watched Brandon's face change first. That's the part one remember most, weirdly. Not Danielle's. Brandon's. He went from confident to confused to quietly checking his phone like a man calculating his exit. Then Angela looked dead at me. I wasn't ready for that. Marcus supported this woman before any of you knew her name, she said. I've seen the records, the receipts. The man's name is all over the early paperwork, and she's standing up here thanking strangers. The room got quiet in a different way than before. Not awkward quiet, attentive quiet. Somebody near me actually said, "Lo, wait, that's her husband," like I'd materialized out of the wallpaper. Danielle looked at me across the room. I want to say I felt triumphant. I didn't. Not really. Mostly I felt tired and a little embarrassed for both of us, the way you feel watching 2 people you love get caught in something neither one can walk back. I gave the smallest nod, like, yeah, That's me, and kept both hands in my pocket so nobody could see they weren't quite steady. She pulled me into the little office behind the register, away from everyone, and shut the door so fast it didn't latch. Marcus, you have to fix this. Fix what? Exactly. This, Angela, all of it. People are going to think. Think what? That I helped you. I kept my voice level, which took more out of me than yelling would have. Because I did. You know I did. That's not the point right now. It's exactly the point. A pause. I let it sit. You called me a reminder of your old life, Danielle. Her mouth opened, closed. You went through my phone. That's what you're worried about right now? That. I'm worried about my company. Do you understand what tonight could cost me? I do, actually. I'm good with numbers, remember. I almost laughed, but it would have come out wrong. I'm not here for revenge. I never wanted revenge. I wanted you to say my name on that MIC like it meant something. That's it. That's the whole list. She didn't have anything for that. For maybe the first time in months, neither of us said anything at all, and the silence had more honesty in it than the last 4 months of conversation combined. The fallout didn't happen in one dramatic sweep. It happened in a string of quiet, practical hits, the kind I recognized from spreadsheets I'd built for other people's businesses. 2 investors paused funding by that Friday. Angela's lawyer sent a letter the following week. Brandon stopped returning calls. No big confrontation. He just got busy, the way men get busy when the wind shifts. The boutique stayed open. The version of Danielle that stood on that stage did not. I moved out about 3 weeks later into a 1-bedroom near the Beltline with a leaky kitchen faucet I never got around to fixing, possibly out of some petty refusal to make the place feel finished. Some nights I'd sit on a folding chair I hadn't replaced yet and just replay the kitchen table years, the paper plate sketch, the midnight spreadsheets, her laugh on a good day, and ask myself the obvious, embarrassing question. How did I miss this much, this long? The honest answer is I didn't miss it. I saw pieces of it the whole way and talked myself out of believing them, because believing them meant admitting something I'd built my identity around, being the steady one, the patient one, wasn't actually working. Patience isn't a strategy if the other person's already decided how the story ends. Months passed before I felt like a person again instead of a guy quietly grieving a marriage in a 1-bedroom apartment. I picked up a side project at work that I'd been putting off for 2 years. I call my brother more. I started cooking real meals instead of standing over the sink with a fork and a takeout container, which, small thing, but it mattered. Danielle called in March. Her voice was different, smaller, not performing for anyone. I've been doing some thinking, she said. Okay, I miss who you were to me. Before all this. I'm still that person, Danielle. I didn't go anywhere. You did. She didn't argue. That alone told me something had actually shifted in her, even if I wasn't ready to do anything with it yet. I'm not saying come back, she said. I wanted you to know I see it now. What you did. What I did. I appreciate you saying it. And I did. But I'm not in a hurry to forgive on a deadline, if that's what this call is. It's not. Good. Because I needed time before I even knew I needed it. She made it public eventually. A statement. Credit restored to Angela, an actual acknowledgement with my name in it this time. Printed where people could read it instead of just hearing it secondhand at a party. Some people respected her for it. A few of the new friends from a glittering era had already scattered, the way people do once the lighting changes and they're not sure the room's still good for their image. I didn't feel like celebrating her downfall, and I want to be clear about that, because it would have been easy to. I just felt like something heavy had finally been set down, by both of us, in different ways. A year after that night, I started my own consulting business, the kind of move I'd been talking myself out of since I was 28, always finding a reason it wasn't the right time. Turns out the skills I'd spent years pouring into someone else's dream work just fine-pointed at my own. I drove past her boutique a while back, on my way to a client meeting 2 blocks over. Smaller team now, quieter signage. I sat at the light a second longer than I needed to and watched her through the glass, going over something with a young guy at the counter, completely unaware anyone was watching. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel much of anything dramatic, honestly, which surprised me more than the anger would have. Mostly I thought about the paper plate sketch from 9 years ago, and how far a person can travel from where they started before they forget who was walking next to them the whole way. The light turned green. I drove onto my meeting. I had a number to hit that afternoon, and for once, it was entirely my own. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? And if you love emotional stories filled with shocking twists, betrayal, and satisfying karma, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a new story from Emma Details. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tale.